Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're going to take a first look at what the Timeless best of 3 meta looks like after Bloomburrow. Kind of on the onset, Bloomburrow is a much weaker set relative to Modern Horizons 3, Timeless being the most powerful format on Arena. So keep that in mind. It takes a very strong card to kind of make an impact into the format. So we're going to be looking at the data from the stats from UntappedGG, what you see on the screen. Companion tool that runs alongside Arena's client, aggregates user win rates, gives a whole bunch of cool stats. If you want to get started with Untap, link is in the video description. As always, I will timestamp and paste the deck list into the video description. So we're going to look Platinum to Mythic rank. It's the first week of the new kind of season. So people in Mythic could still be Platinum. Like, I've played 10 games. I haven't played too much this month since the reset, and still Platinum myself. So we'll take a look. We're going to look at popularity of the decks and the deck lists themselves. So starting off, the decks themselves, Mardu Energy is kind of taking the place at the highest play percentage, followed by Boros Energy. The Mardu variant is putting up a bit higher of a win rate relative to its counterpart. There's two versions. There's a Lurrus and a Jegantha version. So we'll take a look at those. There's 4-color show and tell. There's kind of a Simic version, and then the 4-color with the Traxa combo. We'll take a look at both of those. The Beans Elemental list, we have Dimir Control as well as an Esper version, Jeskai Control kind of mixed into there. So kind of flat outside the energy decks. We may see an influx of energy players come into the format, particularly Boros decks. In Historic, if you haven't been kept in the loop, they nerfed some cards, digital only nerfs, so they don't impact Timeless. But Galvanic Discharge only makes 2 energy now. Guide of Souls takes 4 energy to get the counters. And Ocelote's Pride now is a 2-drop instead of a 1-drop. So a lot of Historic players might want to kind of keep their deck intact and move over to the format. So jumping into it, we have 4,700 games played, Platinum to Mythic rank in the format. And the highest win rate deck is Simic Show and Tell. So this is a Eldrazi Show and Tell kind of hybrid deck. So you have your traditional Show and Tell lines. You have Show and Tell into Fae of Wishes. Show and Tell into Omniscience, into Fae of Wishes to get you your combo out of your sideboard. 2 Masterminds acquisitions, get Bond of Insight, get back your Masterminds acquisition, and then approach the Second Sun twice. So you have that line with the deck, but you could also just play a fair game, Show and Tell in like Emrakul, Null Drifter, Devourer of Destiny is kind of value. You'll notice a lot of self-mill in this deck between Cash Grab, Founding of the Third Path, as well as Malevolent Rumble. All kind of put cards into your graveyard, help you find permanents. That permanent being Shifting Woodlands. Woodlands can copy your Omniscience and gives you kind of an alternative to the Show and Tell way to kind of cheat in Omniscience itself. Could just become a big Eldrazi too and attack into your opponent. 4 One Rings in here. You also have Chalice. This version's on Ugin's Labyrinth as a 4 of. So you can make 2 mana on turn 1 and then Chalice to lock out your opponent's 1-drops. Sideboard, Defense Grid for the counterspell heavy decks. Flute as a disruptive element. Interesting to see Return to Nature instead of Crows and Grip. You should probably play Crows and Grip, I would say, just because in the mirror, it allows you to do it at split-second speed, so you can get rid of their Omniscience. Stonebrain for combo mirrors, Licensors for Graveyard Hate, and then, like I said, the combo pieces. You have one with the Multiverse as an alternative kind of Omniscience plan, and then Force of Vigor can also be brought in to destroy artifacts or enchantments. So there is the Simic Show, and then there's not sequentially in terms of win rate, but I want to compare them side by side. There's the 4-color Show and Tell. This is the more traditional version, 65%. So this version here of the deck has the Masterminds in the main. There'll be a number of Mystic Sanctuaries that could kind of buy you back stuff. This version of the deck is either going to Omniscience or get into play Atraxa or both, and then you just kind of dig for your combo. Demonic Tutor, assemble the team as ways to kind of find it. Dark Ritual helps you speed up mana. Thoughtseize for disruption, as well as Veil of Summer to help protect your combo. Again, sideboard, you have the Approach the Second Sun here. This version's a little bit like you technically don't deterministically win because you need to have another card draw, where a lot of the other lists have like the Mastermind, kind of get the Mastermind package back with like the 7-drop or binding, or what's it called? Bonds of Insight. This one doesn't have it, so you do need the card draw to then find the second copy of Approach the Second Sun. Sideboard, just various removal options. Abrupt Decay can be creature removal or hate piece removal. Crossing Grip for the mirror, Line of Sanctity versus Burn, or Thoughtseize style decks. Anti-counterspell measures, Born Upon the Winds lets you win through Bowmaster. Instant speed, and the mirror is useful as well. We then move to Mardu Energy. So this is the Lurrus version. So within the Lurrus version, you're basically playing black for a couple cards here. Cthulhian Nightmare as a reanimation effect. This lets you kind of sack your extra tokens to rebuy stuff, kind of get loops going. Juggernaut Peddler as like a hand hate effect, as well as Orcish Bowmaster, very strong in the kind of energy mirrors, just picking off, you know, Ragavans, Oscillate Prides, whatever it may be. Cool new art on Swords to Plowshare. Unfortunately, it's a mythic, like all the cool arts, because, you know, Timeless is cheap enough as it is that we have to spend our mythic rares on cool arts for uncommons. You have your whole energy package otherwise in here. 2 bombardments kind of mixed in. Deafening Silence versus like Show and Tell. Pithing Needle activated abilities. Prismatic Ending is catch-all removal. Thoughtseize is hand hate. Sun Cleanser for the energy mirrors. Unlicensed Hearse for graveyard hate. So I was playing the like a variant of this best of 3 version of the deck. This one's a little bit interesting with some of the card choices. So they're on the 2/1 rings, which isn't like a terrible inclusion. I was running 3/3 split of Obnixilus and Flage. This one's on Ephemerate. The one of Oscillate's Pride is very strange to me. I would play more of those than Ragavan. I don't love Ragavan in the current meta, especially if like the Boros decks are picking up Bowmaster as well. It's just, I find it, other than like Show and Tell, it doesn't really attack into stuff that often. The board states get so gummed up. Static Prison also, I was playing some number of Swords to Plowshare over it. The more density of energy decks, the more Sun Cleansers, and most people are bringing in Sun Cleansers if they're kind of a fair deck. It tends to have a little less utility, I would say. So there's kind of like this build. I personally don't like the full 4 Aether Hubs. There's a reason to have it, but it can kind of lead to some awkward mana bases. Fragment Reality in here, Mana Tithe, this Disruption, Surgical, Vexing Bauble for Show and Tell, as well as Vortex. The Bauble can also be brought in against like the Beans deck or any Evoke Elemental decks. Now, notably, when you are bringing in the Baubles, it does shut off your Amp Raptor ability to kind of cast that. Like, just for comparison, it kind of fell apart. I was doing well with it, and then kind of the wheels fell off on me. Let's go previous set. Okay, so it's 10-3. Still reasonable. I lost a couple more. I was playing on my iPad, but was on 3 Amulets, the full set of Oscillate's Pride. I was on Lightning Bolt. I just wanted something more proactive at times too. The thing to note is once you have City Blessing, if that turn you get a copy of Obnixilus, you get to create a copy of the token copy as well. So you could get multiple copies of Obnixilus into play. It was really good against like the control decks to give you another option. Seismic Wave was something I was trying out for the mirror. The control decks, you might want more Baubles or like Vortex or stuff like that. I could see that being an inclusion. I was playing a full set of Thoughtseize on the side, but I think you need a little bit more anti-combo hate in like my version. You can always find out every deck I play on my profile if you want to check it out. We then go to the Belcher deck, 70%. So this is a all-in combo deck. So it could win, I believe, as early as turn 1 through a combination of Dark Rituals, Beseech the Mirror off like a Mishra's Bauble or Chromatic Sphere. You get Ironcrag Feet and then cast the Charbelcher from your hand. You know, Magical Christmas Land. We could have a Leyline of Sanctity in play too. But turn 2, turn 3. You can also, if you just have Channel and Belcher in hand, you could combo off that turn. You have no lands, but playing lands through the MDFCs. But that's kind of what you're trying to do. Just tutor for the Belcher and then find a way to cheat mana to activate it that same turn. Fact Negation for kind of protection of the combo. Haywire Might for anti-hate pieces along with the Assassin's Trophy. Endurance for graveyard hate. Path to Peril as kind of small creature. Lurrus Hate. Calling Ritual is actually really solid because you can Calling Ritual your opponent's board and then get enough mana potentially to combo that same turn. And then Grief for some hand hate. The Grief inclusion is kind of interesting. Wonder why you just don't play Thoughtseize. I guess for the life loss, but you had a pitch cards, which is your lands. It's an interesting. I was like kind of thinking of those. Is the 2 life worth the extra card? Jeskai Energy Control, 70% on this one here. So leveraging some of the energy package, Galvanic Discharge in here. You have Flage as well as Wrath of the Sky. It's a very flexible sweeper. Mana Drains, Brainstorms in here. You're winning with Solitudes and Flages in this particular list. No creature lands, but you have Mystic Sanctuary to kind of rebuy your stuff. Arena of Glory is very strong with Flage as a way to kind of haste it out. Sideboard is just going to have disruptive elements, various counterspells, sweepers. You have Rest in Peace for Graveyard Hate, Fury against kind of go wide decks, Temporary Lockdown, again, another guard, good against like various Lurrus piles. Teferi Time Raveler with the new art, bird art. Yes or no on the animal Teferi Time Raveler? Let me know. Kind of mixed into there for the counterspell mirrors. You then go to Dimir Tempo. This one's at 68%. This is a Lurrus companion shell. Psychic Frog card people are talking about potentially needing a ban in Legacy along with Grief. Bowmaster's in here. Tamiyo flips very easily with the Brainstorm. You have Nethergoyf. So this is a more proactive version of the list. We've seen these Dimir control decks in the past being like the only win condition is Lurrus and Bowmaster. So this one can turn the corner a little bit quicker. Thoughtseizes, Inquisitions, just various disruptive spells. Toxic Deluge, very good against the Boros energy decks. Just kind of a sweeper that way there. Treasure Cruise to refill your hand. And then like Mystic Sanctuary for value. You then have just various removal options. Bloodchief Thirst, flexible removal, disruptive elements, graveyard hate. So you'll see Demonic Tutor in the sideboard. Typically what this has done is it gives you extra copies of key hate pieces. So think of it as like 2 Surgicals, 2 Stones, 2 Disruptor Flares, whatever it may be for the matchup. Meat Hooks, more just sweepers where needed, Licensors, and Disruptor Flute. So this is an Esper variant. So Biko 18 went 39 and 18 into Mythic rank with this particular list. So very similar concept. You're playing white in the main board for Swords to Plowshare, just more flexible removal. You see Deathrite Shaman in this particular list. Notably playing the Deathrite over Nethergoyf. Grave Expectations is another card here. Either heists your opponent, take one of their cards, or exiles 3 cards from the graveyard. Sideboard, Prismatic Ending, or Fragment Reality, Prismatic Ending as sweepers. Lavinia for things kind of cheating into play 0 mana. Sun Cleanser for energy. Vexing Bauble for Show and Tell, and then Mystical Dispute as more counters. Then go to mono black mid-range, kind of Grief Scam, Necro, insert buzzwords about black cards here. So Dark Ritual, pretty powerful card. Lets you Necro or Necropotence or Dominance on turn 1. You can Grief with Malakir's Rebirth to kind of get that value, or with Reanimate as well. You can also just troll and reanimate that way there. This version's also playing a couple Emperor Bones as another way to have kind of reanimation effect within a creature. So you get some utility there. Liliana's in here, Sheoldred's. Notably no One Ring. So Necro Dominance would let you draw a card where Necropotence puts into your hand. So this will allow Sheoldred to gain life. Necropotence does not. So interesting kind of dichotomy there. Spymaster's Vault is a new card being tried out in the mana base, as well as Phyrexian Tower. Sideboard, just Graveyard Hate with Surgical, activated abilities, Feed the Swarm, Enchantment Hate, or creature removal. Bowmasters, notably no Bowmasters mate. It's kind of interesting. Graveyard Trespasser is another threat to eat away the graveyards, and then Necromentia for combo hate. And then lastly, 4-color Elementals. So this version here, you'll see Cabaret Revels. It's an alchemy card. And before people say alchemy aren't real cards, well, they just printed Oracle of Alpha into Mystery Booster 2. So it's a real card now. So shuffle up your Power 9 in real life. So when you evoke your elementals, you get to basically cascade into like Risen Reef or Omnath. So you kind of always get a creature out of that, which is pretty cool. Fables to copy your stuff, up to Beanstalk for card advantage, Swords as removal, Prismatic or Leyline Binding as removal, just lots of kind of incidental removal, life gain value Kahira kind of confuses your opponent, potentially thinking you might be on a control deck when you're actually playing creatures. Disruptor Flute, activated abilities, the vetoes as counter, High Noon against like Show and Tell, Storm style decks, Graveyard Hate and Rest in Peace, Clarion as a sweeper, that can also potentially gain you life, and then 3 Boseijus is just kind of artifact enchantment removal. That's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been enjoying, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.